So here's my foam wreath that I used my husks on. The husks can be found in your Spanish food section in your supermarket. So you want to get just a little bundle and soak it, rinse it, and throw it in the dryer for a little while. And you may need to use some paper towels to dry them off as you glue it down because it won't glue if it's wet. But it's good that it is a little bit damp so that they're flexible and you can wrap it around your wreath. So you just want to take it all the way around and kind of eyeball it so that your seams will be on the back side or on the very bottom along the edges. That way you can't see it at frontal view. So here I'm grabbing some burlap and I'm just going to cut a big square out and then take that square and then cut 4 squares out of that. And they are about 3 inches. And I'm just going to fray it and create kind of a nest for the bottom part of my wreath. So I'm going to fold it diagonally, glue it down, fold it again diagonally, glue it down to make a triangle. And that is going to create 4 pieces of triangles. That's going to create kind of a square. And that's what I'm going to, the base part of where I'm going to do my flower arrangement. So I'm going to use just some regular sewing pins and push them through the wreath. And it's going to create sort of a square shape. And this one came out just a tiny bit crooked, but it's not a big deal. It came out fine. See there? I'm going to use some raffia and loop it around my fingers 4 times, and I'm going to open them up to create a bow. And this is one of the things that I do like about the raffia that Wild Orchid Crafts carries is that it turns into this like paper ribbon, and it's about an inch wide, so it gives it a really nice size. So once it's fluffed out, then I can nestle it down onto the middle part of the burlap. And I'm just going to go ahead and just glue the burlap squares down so that it stays and that way it doesn't lift off or anything. And I'm going to grab some green raffia here and open it all up and create that paper ribbon again. So I'm just going to wrap it around the wreath, and what it'll also do is create a separation between the natural color of the husks and the natural color of the burlap. And it also will reinforce and hold down my burlap here. So I'm crisscrossing it around it. Adding another little piece here to kind of even out. I think one side has a little bit more raffia than the other. So I'm just going to add another little piece here. Some hot glue. And I do trim it off because I don't want the seam to show. I want it to look really nice and clean. So I'm just going to put the red gardenia and the burgundy gardenia down in the center. And I love how the color matches the raffia. Perfect, perfect. Here's some maple leaves that are fall colored. Just putting one on each side. I kind of just made it all symmetrical with having just evened out flowers along both sides. So I created like a bundle of leaves you can see on the right and the left of 3 of the maple leaves, and I'm just going to glue those down. That's just going to create kind of another little bed of color and just an extension so I can add a few more flowers. And there's a darker brown maple leaf from that same mixed pack. Gives it a nice color. I like it. So these yellow flowers are not available anymore, and but you can still, it's in a mixed color fall theme pack, and I think it was seasonal, I don't know, but they don't have them anymore. But you can get some yellow ones, green ones, red ones, you know, whatever you think is fall colored in the wild curly roses. So here I'm just going to add, I added already some green raffia to the very top so I can have a tiny arrangement there. And I'm just picking through some leaves and stuff, and I decided to go ahead and add a couple of these leaves down at the bottom of the wreath. But the color wasn't right to me, so I wanted to add some more color to it. So I used some aged mahogany and distressed them along the edges and wet them down. Using my heating tool, I dried them up. And I did end up using some frayed burlap colored distressing to add a little bit more brown, kind of given the image of them drying out. As that's what fall's, you know, all about. All the leaves dry up and all the colors changed. It's a beautiful season. This one reminds me of a little olive branch, but I don't know what it is. It's just a littler one. And some brown there. And I did do a couple of the little ones. So I'm just going to distress those. Actually, I did add this one to the very top of the gardenia there. Then I cut the stems off, but I wanted to add more of a like softer, whimsical look. So I pulled out these skeleton leaves, grabbed 3 per fern leaf. I don't know what kind of leaves they are, and I love the way that they look. So I did glue them down there for each side. It added a little bit more texture. Just that they're see-through, it makes it look softer. So I really like that. And then these two, I'm just going to glue them together end by end and just create a base or a backdrop for a small arrangement up at the top. And here's the second brown one. I'm going to end up gluing it down together with the other one. And that way it just, I don't know, it just creates a nice background, I think. A nice starting point or base point for the flowers. This is a scrap piece of burlap, and I was just folding it and messing with it, and I liked the way that it looked. So I ended up using it for, I don't know, some more texture up at the top. Kind of coincides with the burlap at the bottom too. Distressing it with some ink. And I think I curled the stem on them. I'm not sure if I did or not. Some I cut off, some I didn't. These are wild roses, these little ones, and I edged it with some aged mahogany, so it has that red look. So sprayed it down with water, it bleeds and gives it a two-tone effect. And then I heat set it so it'll stop bleeding, and then I can actually handle them and glue them down. I did curl the little stems on these, and just adding it alongside the wild curly rose and the bow. I'm going to add these little olive green roses along the side there of the wild rose. Really tiny ones. And these are little carnations that are two-toned. So they're creamy but has that distressed brown look to it. And I think I added a little bit more too of like frayed burlap distress ink on it. And then my pine cones. I love this look on this wreath. This totally makes it more harvestful than anything. And here are some Maya Road chipboard letters, and link to find these is over on my blog. These are so easy to alter. I love Maya Road's chipboard pieces. I've got tons of them. So I'm going to use the aged mahogany distress ink again, which is that deep burgundy, and just dab it. I'm just transferring the ink. So I did this with all of them and added and added and added so it soaks it up really, really well. And I wet it down, and I wet it down so that when the ink bleeds, it'll actually take the color down along the edges. So the edges of the letters are not chipboard color. And then added some glossy accents. I think they were not fully dry quite yet, but it was fine because I was gonna get ready to go to bed at this point. So I let them dry overnight. And they look so pretty, shiny and burgundy, and it's a pretty effect. So I just cut out some little triangles here for a banner that I was going to use for these letters, and I cut them down a little bit, and I also pulled some of the strings out so they look more frayed. And I was scared that they were going to fray some more, so I added some canvas, some really thick canvas fabric that I have, just a tad smaller than the actual burlap. And I use hot glue throughout the entire thing, and that'll just help hold all the little threads together and they won't come off, which I liked a lot. You see how the red comes through all the way down to the bottom? to the back side of the letters. I love that. See how it inked it up really, really well. So once I had them glued on there, I just grabbed some twine and I flipped these little guys over, added a strip of glue, and I used that little piece of canvas as just reinforcements to hold it down. So I'm going to carry that all the way across the 4. Make sure that they're glued down really good. And here I'm just ripping a little strip of the corn husks and creating these little cute little bows just for the left and the right letters of the fall. And tied a knot, kind of just giving me a point of where the little clothespins should go. And I'm gonna make some corn husks. Someone make some haystacks really quick. So I just cut the strips of the corn husks and broke them up in little pieces to make these cute little haystacks. Really easy to do. And I'm just gonna tie them off with some twine. And I do hide the knot of this with a little rose. You'll see that in a second. So here are the cute little clothespins that I have, and that will hold my banner, well, supposedly hold my banner up, but I do end up gluing some of the twine down and stuff too. But they're so cute, so cute, so tiny. So I do pin them up there. So here are the two-tone copper colored roses that I made it look like they're holding up the little haystacks. They're so super cute. Came out nice. I like it. So now it's time to hang it up. So I cut a strip of burlap and stitched along the edges. Made this ribbon and to hold with a little brad and just cut it to fit in the back side there. Kind of eyeballing where I need it to be. And just using hot glue to hold it down, and that was pretty much it with that. It hangs really nice in my hallway, kind of showing from the front door when we walk in, so it's really cute. I love this project. It was so much fun. There's my wreath. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Here comes some info.